We're back in the NASCAR garage area building the next arc. It has rained that hard at Pocono, Pennsylvania today. The pace car will bring Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Tim Richmond, and Bill Elliott, along with the rest of the field, to a halt next time around, and that will be halfway in the event.
Rarely do you see these Winston Cup cars creeping along like they are, but they are on untreaded tires. These racing slicks do not adhere to the asphalt, and particularly when the rain's pouring, as Harold Kinder is trying to hide.
Bobby Allison has already spun and hit the wall in the rain. Let's go to the garage.
Well, you might think that the crew chief of the leading car would be tense at a moment like this as we await the rain out, but Gary Nelson has snuck into one of the lounges, and he's going to have a little lunch. But, Gary, we're wondering what's the story with the smoke coming off Jeff Bodine's car?
Well, they got real close there a couple laps before that caution came out. Jeff and Tim and Dale Earnhardt were racing. All of them, I'm sure Harry Hyde and Richard Childress were telling their drivers, just like I was, that you got to be in front, because if this thing rains out, lap 200 is the halfway point. So they were all trying for the lead. Tim slid up a little high when he was passing that lap car. Jeff dove in between there, and then the hole kind of closed up. Jeff said he got hit on both sides, so the left front tire started rubbing the fender, and just then it started to rain, and we stayed out there. We're the leader at the moment. If it clears up and we have to restart, we plan on changing 4 tires anyway, and we'll take a hammer and knock that fender back out.
Thoughts of Gary Nelson. It has poured here at Pocono. People, race teams, tires, everything is covered up. Well, not these kids, but they are playing in a mud puddle that was not here 1 hour ago. The sun, though, comes out and works its magic, and the racetrack dries. You see the asphalt beginning to gray up. We're getting set then to go back to racing.
And we're in the second half here at the Pocono in the Miller High Line 500. You rarely get a halftime in a stock car race, but the driver's got to take a breather.
And now, virtually everybody got a halftime shower.
Indeed. Look how pretty it is, Mike. It's cleared up here. The sun is coming back out. The clouds have moved away, and we're ready to get back to racing.
Kyle Petty will be the race leader. The Wood brothers doing a good job getting him off pit road. After the caution flag was displayed, and now we're back to green. Jeff Bodine is in second. Dale Earnhardt is third, and there's a lot of smoke from one car. That's Eddie Beerswald, who goes sliding off into the grass, and that water just tends to speed him up and right in front of traffic and hard into the first turn wall.
Oh, Beerswald has really contacted the wall, but he gets the car straight and keeps it straight. What a job of driving by the young San Antonio, Texas driver. He gets the car down on the track apron. Traffic goes around him, but a tough break for the Elmo Langley car with Eddie Beerswald aboard.
The caution flag will come out for the 5th time today. And Beerswald may have run over a piece of debris that just exploded his left front tire. Getting set to go racing once again as the field comes off turn 4. After the brief caution for Eddie Beerswald's incident at turn 1. This time, up at the front of the pack, some familiar faces. There's Earnhardt, Tim Richmond, and young Bobby Hillin, the Texas driver, having a good run here today.
Hillin turned 22 years of age this week, the youngest competitor on the Winston Cup Tour. Bobby Hillin running up in the front. He's had 2 fourth-place finishes thus far in '86 at Daytona and Talladega. Hillin now running back in 4th spot behind his teammate, the veteran Bobby Allison.
Up front it is Earnhardt and Tim Richmond. Jeff Bodine has made a pit stop. He will have to fight his way back to the front of the field.
But he'll have to contend with Tim Richmond, who has just taken the lead. Richmond moves back to the point. Let's go to Dick Berger in the Tim Richmond pit.
Well, Harry Hyde, your car looks like it's running very well. Are you going to tell Tim to conserve at the end of the race?
Well, we're hoping right now we can make it on fuel, and that's our biggest worry. Everything else going real good.
How tight is the fuel? How tight is the fuel situation?
Within a lap or 2.
Well, Richmond's team is sweating the gas situation. They have lost their 2-way radio contact with their driver. That could come into play as this race gets into its closing stages. And Dick will be polling up and down pit road to see what the fuel situation is with the other team. The last pit stop in this race was made under the green flag as we watched 4th place Ricky Rudd go past. Let's check in with the car owner of 2nd place, Dale
running awful good, so we're just going to have to wait and see when it comes toward the end.
How is your fuel situation? Can you go all the way?
Yeah, we can go all the way.
Well, there was no doubt in Childress' voice. He's a former Winston Cup driver, now turned car owner. They've won the most races this year, and they lead the point standings.
Well, they do. They've been almost successful as now Richmond now moving by the mangled car of Neil Bonnet.
A look at Jeff Bodine's number 5 Levi Garrett Chevrolet as he works against Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd has passed Bodine, and that earned him a $100 bonus from car owner Jack Beebe, who called Shepherd on the two-way radio and said, if you pass Bodine, that's $100.
And Morgan Shepherd has had enough lean years that $100 means a lot to him.
That's racing on the incentive plan.
You know, Shepherd has come from a lap back early in the race to run back toward the front.
We'll have in the closing stages of the Miller 500 at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Tim Richmond, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd set to slug it out. Cale Yarborough and Ricky Rudd still battling for position. Now Bill Elliott has moved up and joined them.
Morgan Shepherd leading Jeff Bodine. Those two cars trying to close in the lead twosome of Richmond and Earnhardt. Those cars have been caught back in traffic now, making their way is Bodine around the Jody Ridley car.
Ridley in the Nationwide Auto Parts machine has just gone 2 laps down to the race leader. And we'll look at Dale Earnhardt, who is in hot pursuit of race leader Tim Richmond. Here's Earnhardt coming up on a very mangled Chevrolet of Neil Bonnet. Bonnet involved in that crash back at the start of the race with teammate Darrell Walter. Walter went to the garage early. Bonnet continued.
Earnhardt, the Winston Cup point leader, already has 3 wins to his credit this year. And if he can just finish, he will be a winner overall today because he'll stretch his point lead.
With Walter in the garage as the 40th finisher. That will benefit Earnhardt's hope for a second Winston Cup driving title.
Well, Jack Beebe, Morgan Shepherd has just passed Jeff Bodine. You're having an awfully good run today.
Yeah, that just cost me $100. I told him he got a $100 bonus if he passed him, and he's going to give him 2 when he passes Earnhardt.
Do you think he can pass Earnhardt? Can he pass Earnhardt?
Yeah, he can pass Earnhardt. I don't think we can catch Richmond. Richmond is about 6 seconds ahead of us.
Have you got enough fuel to go all the way, Jack?
Oh, yeah, we can make it all the way. I was checking to see if Richmond can. I think he can, too.
There's Jack Beebe, confident car owner. He says he can get 1 more before this thing is done.
He sounds surer of Richmond's gas mileage than Tim Richmond's crew chief, Harry Hyde. There is Dale Earnhardt and race leader Tim Richmond.
Tim Richmond has not won on the Winston Cup Tour since April of 1984 when he won at North Wilkesboro on a half-mile track back in the Blue Max car. That's 2 years ago, Richmond's last victory. The Raymond Beetle car. Now he's in the Rick Henry car, the Folgers car, with Harry Hyde, the veteran crew chief, behind pit wall.
10 laps to go for race leader Tim Richmond. Here's Dale Earnhardt. And as he crosses the start-finish stripe, you get an idea of the separation. Earnhardt likely now has pulled out all the stops trying to run down Richmond.
Well, Gary Nelson, with less than 20 laps remaining, I assume you've got the hammer down.
Well, we certainly do. We got behind when our radio went out after that rain shower. I wish we hadn't got that far back. We've been trying to make it up ever since. It'd be nice to get a caution and get some good tires on and race for the win.
Is the car not handling well now?
That's handling okay. He just had to really use up his tires to get back up to 3rd. And right at the moment, wish we could just get some new tires on there because I think we could go for the win then.
How about fuel? Can you make it?
Yeah, we can make it on the fuel.
Their radios were not the only things knocked out in the storm. 2/3 of the scoreboard system also fell victim to lightning in the rainstorm, and one of our SCTN cameras as well.
Here's the battle tightening up again between Morgan Shepherd and Jeff Bodine. Shepherd knows he must keep Bodine behind him as we see Tim Richmond now moving around the Bobby Hillen car.
So Hillen, a lap down, nonetheless will have a fine finish this afternoon. He is right now the 11th place machine.
Tim Richmond has to be concerned about the fuel mileage. You heard Harry Hyde tell Dick Berggren they can make it all the way. Richard Childress felt confident they could go all the way. But you know, there's no radio communications between Tim Richmond and Harry Hyde. They're having to use the hand signal, so Tim Richmond has to be concerned.